I'm Gereeva, aka Gereeva, the mother of Alisa and Gabriel. I'm still fighting for my own children and other children's rights. This has never ceased for the last 7 years. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to read an extract from the document A. You can find the link to this document in the description box under this video, and I do urge people to please read the entire document A and understand the details of this case and why it is so important, not just for my children, but for all children on earth. Lawfully suspected organized child abusers and child traffickers are apparently above the normal levels of lawful suspicion British people ordinarily expect police to promptly act on when informed of serious crimes which include serial murders of trafficked babies. According to present, officially accepted narratives on the case, such crime and criminals allegedly do not exist anywhere in Britain beyond the realms of fiction and fantasy. And anyone who takes such allegations seriously, according to a UK High Court judge, is evil and foolish. As the saying goes, the devil is in the details. And a prime feature of the suspected cover-up is a collective intent to obfuscate negligence and/or crime via the confusion all such details can easily be manipulated to deliver. Fortunately, time is very telling. It has taken over 7 years for the evidence to be accumulated and presented to such a degree that the anomalies are clear. Document A, as published here, and all other associated documents, irrefutably exposes all of the evidence supporting lawful suspicion that all the reported crimes have very probably occurred. Though EU child protection protocols are not fully implemented in Britain, nonetheless, they provide a guide and example to all EU nations committed to protecting children and preventing crimes against them. The UK public are therefore most alarmed to discover that children in this case have indisputably received what amounts to an abomination of those directives. Here is the list of police actions and child rights afforded to witnesses reporting child abuse as defined by the EU Child Protection Directives. Those are juxtaposed by what UK police and local authorities actually did in total ignorance of EU CPDs. 1. Child witnesses are entitled to an independent legal guardian to ensure the child's human and legal rights are respected. The children received no such independent legal assistance. 2. Children's testimonies are believed as honest until thorough investigations prove otherwise. Onus of proof of innocence is on the accused. Suspects' claims of innocence are an allegation of perjury against child witness victims. The children were judged liars from the offset, and suspects benefiting from supposition that they are innocent. Suspects are judged completely innocent without ever being arrested and investigated. Suspects' claims of innocence are supposed as honest. 3. Confirming medical evidence equates to solid evidence and cannot be disputed until point of trial. Police decided the confirming medical evidence found via damages to both child witness victims was false and proposed an unprofessional alternative explanation for deep anal scarring, RAD and PTSD on same day of receiving medical confirmation, as is evidence in their CRIS reports. 4. Children and their supportive parents or guardians are provided protection in cases where the accused pose a severe threat. Children and mom at evidence risk from alleged socially powerful organized child abusers and murderers were given an alarm box by police. Children were soon after handed into care of authorities where many of the accused are employed. 5. Children require aid of an expert therapist while enduring the trauma of reporting abuse to police, and interviews need to be performed in a manner that does not cause further harm to the child. The children received no therapy whatsoever. Police interview techniques were unprofessional, with interviewing officer exhibiting blatant disbelief and leaving one child alone in a room until he broke down in tears. A child who had testified he is a victim of extensive, long-term abuse, during which he was forced to kill babies. 6. Prompt investigations ensue toward assuring safety and welfare of any other identified child victims. Though Children has cited 18 other named and known special children as suffering and witnessing same crimes, London police and authorities failed to investigate any of those other children. 7. In all cases citing crimes against children, stringent steps are taken to ensure suspects are not forewarned. Police were informing suspects on the same night children delivered their first crime reports to police, as is evidence in the police recordings. According to police CRIS reports, suspects were invited to a strategy meeting to discuss children's crime reports and were asked to permit search of their school and church premises 5 days later. The prime suspect was contacted through a third party and was fully informed of every detail of his children's crime reports. He arrived for his voluntary police interview 10 days after police received the children's crime reports. He was questioned only about one incident of historical abuse against his son, and medical evidence was never mentioned. 8. Suspects are promptly arrested, phones, laptops, computers seized, and homes searched. Police failed to arrest a single suspect and question only one in an interview he free to end at any time. No homes were searched, no property seized for investigation. 9. Crime scenes are promptly visited and sealed for forensic analysis. CCTV footage is examined. Not one crime scene was forensically investigated. 3 crime scenes were searched many days after suspects were forewarned. A visit to one of those crime scenes focused entirely on disproving a single detail from child's statement, a detail that was itself invited and coerced by police. CCTV footage from around the school was not examined, despite children stating they and other special children were taken out of school on Wednesdays to other locations for child prostitution. 10. In cases citing use of illegal and/or medical drugs, children and suspects are immediately tested using hair, blood, and/or urine samples. Despite children giving detailed accounts of medical and illegal drugs they were forced to consume and/or injected with, only the children's hair sample were sent for drug tests, and the results allegedly went missing. More samples were taken after the case was closed, while children were in care, after being months away from home, and purely in an effort to incriminate the parent who had facilitated the disclosures. Not a single suspect was tested for drugs. 11. In cases citing making of child pornography, videos, and/or citing sale of criminal artifacts, prompt investigations commence into the suspect's online activity and finances. Police failed to investigate any of the suspect's online activity or finances, and even in face of a prime suspect's own admission that he is learning from the online porn industry and had, despite being dependent on state benefits, managed to travel abroad to Asia and America and finance his stay in those countries for a period of 2 years. Children had cited details implying making videos, child pornography, sale of human skin and bones. 12. Cases citing child trafficking instigate referral to specialized police units or prompt investigations into suspects' connections abroad, most especially into their connections with women and children's charities. Police failed to refer the case to London Child Trafficking Unit, and they failed to notice the publicly available online evidence that proved conclusively many suspects have direct connections to women and children's charities and orphanages in Africa, Haiti, and Asia. Many of the suspects had repeatedly traveled to those nations where children are most at risk. 13. Retractions are not enough to close a case, and most especially when other evidence negates the validity of the retractions. Child testimony is not a prerequisite for investigating lawful suspicion. Any retractions can be received as a further crime report. The children's retractions close the case in spite of confirming medical evidence provided by 2 experts, and despite the fact that, compared to original crime reports, the retractions are only partial, non-matching, of exceptionally poor quality, and are clearly coerced by police. Though the retractions implicated other parties as responsible for abuse, none of those other parties were arrested and investigated. 14. All citizens have a lawful duty to report lawful suspicion citing risks to children, and reports are not limited only to regular competent authorities. In event of regular authorities' failure to respond, citizens can utilize their human rights of freedom of speech and expression to issue a public alert. Child protection directives fully uphold all human and child rights. In face of regular authorities' criminal negligence, ignorance, and suspected complicity in organized crimes against children, members of the public, expressing concern and sharing evidence, have suffered repeated police harassment, home searches, seizure of property, gagging orders, terms of imprisonment, and Crown Court prosecutions. Citizens' and children's human rights are completely ignored, and people are judged guilty of harassment and intimidation for utilizing their rights to ask questions and or expose a lawful suspicion on behalf of assuring child welfare. 15. A child's rights to privacy are superseded by their rights to safety and protection. First and foremost, child protection directives are designed to protect children and prevent crimes against them. British authorities place highest value on a child's right to privacy, even when there is a lawful suspicion to support the premise that privacy is providing secrecy for abuse. Instead of protecting children and preventing crimes against them, UK police, social services, and family courts have conspired to employ privacy rules for purpose of protecting identity of suspects, gagging the media, and preventing investigations and arrests. Details citing evidence to confirm all of the above are presented via the case submission document A. There is plenty of evidence to support what police and authorities could and ought to have done toward protecting children and preventing crimes against them. To date, police have provided no evidence other than the shoddy, only partial, contradictory, and clearly led retractions to support police and local authorities' reasons for their complete failures. If indeed police claims that children had lied and their crime reports are false, are to be accepted as fact, then where is the evidence to support that alleged fact? Just as there were no adequate investigations into original crime reports, neither were there any investigations into the later highly suspect retractions. The true facts expose a hefty weight of evidence in support of the children's allegations, and therefore, on balance of law, all of our suspicions are lawfully valid. This case reflects the tip of an iceberg in relation to the immense scale of organized child sexual abuse in Britain, and through exposure of the mechanisms by which the whole issue is buried under a weight of police, media, and local authorities' ignorance. We are now left with no choice except to pursue international legal remedy and private prosecutions against negligent and/or suspect professionals. We sincerely hope our proposed legal actions will deliver prompt attention toward helping all children referred to in this case, and will serve to directly challenge present UK protocols on investigating organized child abuse, child trafficking, and murder of trafficked children. Keir Starmer's credibility clause needs to be scrapped. Our sincere and heartfelt thanks extend to all who have given their support and or contributed toward funding this legal action. We thank you for your courage and for sharing this terrible burden of lawful suspicion. Where each a single raindrop, and together we're a storm. Please contact me for interviews. There is an email address in the description area of this video, or any help that you can give towards achieving the justice for abused and trafficked children. It's time humanity puts an end to this industry. The feast on children is over. I'm Gereeva, a Draper, the mother of Alisa and Gabriel.